Okay.
I'm
All right.
excited for our conversation.
Me too. Yeah, let's get in here. So it's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love doing this kind of stuff. This is my favorite.
It's great. I love it. So let's begin our journey with this. 5.5, 6 years ago, this pandemic was raging, changing the
Yes.
world. How did you get through that coronavirus era, and how has it influenced the way that you live and work today?
I love this question because I had a really funny Corona story. It
Yeah.
was the last day before the whole like country shut down. I used to work with little kids, and I remember there was like one kid biting this arm,
Yeah.
and on the other side of me, I was like pushing another kid off to like stop him from like attacking the kid that was,
Oh no.
like biting on this arm. And I remember just like looking up at the ceiling and like silently like vowing, being like, God, me, like I need help getting out of this. And then wow, it's all zooming in on my face.
Yeah, it's getting in and out. Yeah. It got
Oh,
exciting.
good. Like not expecting that. And then I was like, wow, the next day the whole country shut down and it just was like, careful what you wish for, Amy.
Uh-huh.
But I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit of a nice thing for me because I was really struggling at the time with social anxiety, like very intense social anxiety where I was just getting through the day every day and living a pretty social job where I was like working with kids and students and teachers and parents and having to kind of have my nervous system being on like
Uh-huh.
all day long. I having that all of that immediately removed for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. It really I think helped kind of give me a kickstart to starting my new life, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because a few months into that, I was working with at a school and I loved working with the kids and then everything went online. I was like, wow, everything that I loved about my job overnight went away and I was struggling in that sense. So I said, well, why not follow this wild dream that I have? Been dreaming for 7 years to live in a van and like travel around. I've been like watching like YouTube videos for years on end of how to do it. So I asked my partner, I said, do you want to sell all of our stuff and move into a van and just ride around and like figure it out and just kind of like be wild and live this one wild and precious life? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. That's
So
awesome.
we basically spent a lot of the pandemic kind of becoming a whole new version of ourselves where
Yeah.
we sold all of our stuff. We moved into a van. We learned how to do carpentry to build the thing out and started like just exploring around, which led to us living eventually in different communities once like everything started opening up again and falling in love with that for the time being. And it really opened a whole new chapter of that portion of my life, which I think was kind of the beginning of me becoming the most authentic version of myself. So
Yeah.
I consider myself incredibly blessed in terms of how that whole thing shook out for me because, I was living in a van. So, yes, we were isolated. It was just me and my partner and our cat in like the middle of nowhere, but we were able to, explore nature and like have different little adventures. And yes, there was highs and lows and there was like fires that started in the forest and, really intense things with the nervous system like that. But a very
Yeah.
different experience than a lot of other friends and family members that I have spoken to around that whole wild situation.
Yeah, yeah, which we never knew when it was going to end. And it,
Right.
yeah, and it's interesting because I find that everybody that decided to hit the road had the right idea. That was the perfect thing to do at that perfect time in history because
Yeah.
no one knew what was going on. And I think the mental toll of being in one place, especially for people like in Brooklyn and places where you're stacked on top of each other, that's crazy to me. Because in Kansas City, we could
Oh,
drive
yeah.
around. There's nature sanctuaries. There's ways of getting out and around. That was the thing, I think. Getting out and feeling like everything was regular was key.
Oh, yeah,
You
absolutely. We
know?
were living before the van in Portland, Oregon, and there was one day where we drove out to like a trailhead and all of the trails were suddenly closed and like barred off. I remember like I literally like broke down crying because I was like, we live in a tiny 350 square foot apartment, the two of us and our cat, and we can't even go outside. And there's
Yeah.
people like at the park and everywhere. And I was just like, I just need a moment.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. So what you're
Yeah.
doing is fascinating. You're a leading voice, enjoy playing reconnecting, and I want to know exactly what that means. And to do that, I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career day, you're in a school, and the kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
I love this because I love inspiring young children because that was something that really was a hard time for me. Of like, what do you want to be when you're up? I don't know. What answer do you want from me? A lawyer, a teacher, an author? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, for
You
sure.
can you can be there's so many options. I always felt personally like I was going to be like the thing that I was meant to be was something that I didn't know existed yet. It was like something that, you go to career day and you're like, I don't want to do any of these booths. And you can create your own job a lot of times these
Uh-huh.
days. Like things are really changing.
Yeah,
And I have discovered for myself that play and joy and leaning into that was the thing that regulated my nervous system. It was really what helped me. So now I help other adults do that. I used to work with children, helping them play. And I was like, I think this world also needs adults that can play, not just for the fun of it, but because it's a tool that can help us become our self in the way that we came here to be. So one of the things that I love to do is I host joy parades. It's basically a flash mob and a parade had a baby. I
yeah,
get dozens of adults dancing through the streets every week. I have like a big microphone and a boom box. We're doing like synchronized dances that I'm leading and just doing goofy things. We're singing songs. We're getting strangers to sing karaoke with us. And it's so fun, but it also has a deep purpose to it, which is
yeah,
what I also really love about it because I'm all about helping create this ripple effect to change the world. So
yeah,
yes, by playing, we're regulating our own nervous system. We're able to become the version of ourselves that we really want to be, and we can also help to create a ripple in the world around us. Every single one of us is doing that every day. If you're mad, you're kind of like contagious, the mad around you. They'll be like,
yeah.
oh, now I'm angry and blah blah blah. And if you're joyful, that's also contagious. So that's
Sure.
a big part of what I love to do is to
Uh-huh.
help build that contagion of joy
Yeah,
and create and empower people to know that they can choose that because that was something I didn't realize for a lot of my journey and in different ways. I love to I do public speaking, I do emceeing, I have a book that I wrote and do lots of little workshops and things like that where I empower and teach people to learn to kind of go to the joy gym, so to speak. You have to go to the gym to build muscle. You're not gonna just like wake up one day and be like, ah, yes, now I'm like got all these muscles.
uh-huh.
Same thing with joy. You have to wake up each day and kind of rebuild that muscle. And it's still a practice that I am doing constantly. I was like depressed and anxious and had all of these like miserable patterns inside of me for a long time. So it's still something that I often will be like, oh, I'm sad. And that's okay. There's a
Yes,
moment to be sad. I'm not saying you have to be joyful all the time. And there becomes a moment I think where we can decipher and learn to discern when am I just leaning into an old habit and a way of being, or when can I shift it and make a new choice because it's a thing that feels great for me and it contributes to creating the world we wish to live in.
yeah,
There's crazy time. Like I'm not here that like joy is gonna like be the end all be all, but it feels really disempowering, I'm hearing for a lot of people and overwhelming.
yep,
And I think to me, it just seems natural
yep,
and like empowering to be like, wow, zoom in my community. I can embody the joy, and that is a living creation of what we're the world we wish to live in.
yep.
Be it, create spaces, create the community, and that will ripple out in ways that I think we can't even imagine.
Absolutely. And in this modern world with everything that's going absolutely off the rails, it's more
Oh God.
important than ever. I mean,
Yeah.
I keep thinking that we thought COVID was a time of like absolute dread, but now the more we keep getting mired with all the headlines and everything that's happening in this country, it's more paramount than ever for people to have some level of joy.
Oh, absolutely. Because if we are constantly inundating ourselves with all these like headlines and all of
Oh,
these things
yeah.
that we really don't have a lot of, like overt control. Like I can't go, like get my hands in the cookie jar and like arrange the government and all of these things. I don't really
Yeah,
have like the personal power to do that, nor do I think any one individual really should.
sure.
But we do have our own micro ability to live in our purpose, which is just to be our most authentic self and to hold our puzzle piece, which I'm like, I think each of us as people have our own puzzle piece. It's our purpose to be our authentic self and to serve that purpose in the world. And when each of us are doing that, which I think is kind of the times that I feel like we're really being called to rise up to, is be like, yes, have like delusional levels of hope and
Yeah.
be that wild level of
Yeah.
change you wish to see in the world. Because yes, things are absolutely bonkers. But if you choose to keep believing that things are just absolutely bonkers and never going to be better, then yes, that's going to just contribute, I think, to
Uh-huh.
like creating that even more.
Yeah.
And I feel like embodying, creating, being in that empowered, creative place feels, A, it just feels better. And I
Yeah.
think it's also just feels more productive from my perspective.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So let me ask you this. When you were 12 years old, what was your dream job? What did you want to grow up and become?
That's so funny because 12, genuinely, like, I don't know if you know, like my whole childhood, it was the one year of my life that had a strange blip of being really in alignment with who I was. You know, all the other years I would kind of pause and almost, I've always been very good at reading people, and I would look at adults and be like, what do they want me to say? A lawyer. I'll be a doctor, a teacher. Like, and I just like say something that I think because I was an achiever kid and I just like, wanted to be like loved. But when I was 12, I had a very strange year where I was just, for whatever reason, very me. I would like get up in the middle of class and like I had teachers that loved like me just doing random impressions of like chickens and dinosaurs and like random things. And I was obsessed with Ellen DeGeneres. I loved that show. That
Yeah.
was like the thing I'd come home after school every day and watch. And I was saying, I want to be a talk show host. That would
Yeah.
be so fun. Like I was like, I just want to get like random, like people playing and like having a fun time. So I love to say that answer because I feel like that was the one year that and then after 12, I like stopped saying that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that seems actually scary. I actually want to say that. Who am I to say that I could ever do something like that?
Yeah.
But it was some like a little like insight, I think, into who I really am.
So you had mentioned Chicago, but take me back to your childhood. What were the foundational elements that were planted into you that became this pursuit of joy, finding your purpose, finding this way of influencing people and making a positive change in the world? What were those early like seeds that were planted for you?
Yeah, people ask me constantly if I was just born this like little ray of like sunshine and rainbows and like bubbly all over the place. And of course, like to some extent, yes. And I've
Yeah.
always been a goofball. People used to call me kind of a jack in the box where I would be really quiet. I was very shy little kid, very like I just want to follow the rules and like I don't ever my biggest fear was getting in trouble. So I would just kind of like sit there and do exactly as I was told and be like, yes. But once I learned, like, felt like, oh, this is safe, I would just kind of like unleash, and the weird and the silly and the goofy would come out. But it would take a decent amount of time usually to gain that level of trust. So I was, for the most part, a pretty quiet and reserved kid in most spaces and very kind of just terrified. Like living in I didn't, I would always say I was bored as a child. And looking back, I just didn't have the word anxiety. Like I didn't have the word I'm really anxious. I was just like, I guess I'm bored. I don't know. It's a word that I know. So it was a lot of little seeds of struggle, which I'm really grateful for because I think if I had just been born like, yeah, everything's easy and sunshine and rainbows and joyful all the time, that I probably wouldn't be able to understand and deeply empathize with people who have been to like the depths of their darkness and struggle and
Huh?
not wanting to live some days and just really in the depth of it to know, oh, actually it does get better. And you can kind of like walk that bridge to a version of yourself you really can't even fully imagine. Like maybe you can have like a glimmer of like, yes, there's some light at the end of the tunnel and it's like strange and I can't really even imagine, I can't fully believe, but I can like kind of have like inklings of hope. And I'm so grateful. Like on the other side of it, I'm so grateful that there was so much struggle in that and that I was constantly feeling like, oh, the darkness is overwinning my
Yeah.
like joy and my goofiness and all of the things. Because now I'm like, wow, it's so sweet. And you don't have to be born with this and you can learn this. And it's a beautiful skill. It's a beautiful gift.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. Who has been a hero? Who's been an inspirational force in your life that's allowed you to evolve to where you're at today?
Wow, a hero. That's really a great question. Huh. I mean, that's a really good question. This is a kind of a random one. The Dalai Lama, I read a book when I was probably like 22 years old. I don't know, maybe like 10 or so years ago. And I remember I was really struggling with forgiveness at the time, which I don't know if any of y'all have ever had a grudge or like really been struggling with like a lack of forgiveness with somebody and how it really eats you alive inside. It is
Yeah.
not a fun experience. It really is like detrimental to your joy. And I think it was his autobiography or something. And he was talking, about how like the Chinese came in and they, destroyed his country. They killed his people. And he described in this book how and I could like really feel it from the words. He genuinely forgave them, like genuinely from the bottom of his heart. And just it was like a seed of, whoa, this dude can forgive them
Huh?
for doing that. Are you kidding me? And he's a joyful, like a genuinely joyful being.
Yep.
He came to, I went to Loyola College in Chicago and he came to my school and I was like so not into that. So I didn't go see it. But I remember everyone being like, wow, his giggle was the best part. Like just his little laugh. And he's so like alive. And I just remember that like living in my mind in the background of my suffering of almost, I think, planting seeds in the darkness of my despair that
Yeah.
it gets better. Like, it's possible. It's really possible to forgive. It's really possible to let go of all of these old ways that you're really just used to being.
Yep.
And I think that was one of the first really big inspirations, I'd say, that really kind of like, because I feel like in the beginning, like that initial momentum can be kind of the hardest in the journey.
Yeah, for sure. So, what is it when the alarm clock goes off for you in the morning? What gets you up to do this work, to infuse happiness and joy into people, take care of your soul? What is that combined energy every day for you?
Oh, wow, that's great. I wish I was more of a morning person. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still working on being a morning person. I'm like I dream of a day where I like pop out of bed and I'm like da 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 da
Uh-huh. Yeah.
like that. But
Yeah.
I deeply love connecting to service and my why and my deeper like when I can connect to that deeper sense of I am here on a mission to help reconnect people to their joy, to their play, to make someone's day, and to inspire other people that they can make someone's day in like 5 seconds. And like not like from a place of achievement, because I have a little like achiever that I had to heal within me, and I think that there can be kind of a shadowy aspect to that necessarily of like, oh, I'm a good girl, I get gold stars if I do a really good job today. But from a deep kind of soul space of who can I serve today and how can I make the world a better place by being who I truly came here to be and taking a moment each day to really tap in and be like, what does that look like today? Like, what does that genuinely look like? And like, I'm a spiritual person. So I'm like, God, universe, spirit, like, how do you want to serve through me? And when I get to that space, it really jazzes me up. And when I also infuse a sense of there's plenty of time for everything. How can I enjoy this? How can I just put some music on and just enjoy the process of creating my dreams? Whether I'm just, like, doing something on spreadsheets, which is not my favorite thing to do. But there's like I'm a one-woman show right now, so there's a lot of different hats I have to wear, and a lot of the hats I'm like not that great at, and I don't necessarily enjoy. And I'm so excited to delegate one day. I'm like, that'll be great. But today, I'm wearing all the hats. So how can I learn how to enjoy all of the hats as much as I can? How can I just have fun with it rather than kind of being in the misery of, oh my God, today I have to do this like thing that's not exactly my favorite thing.
Yeah. For sure. So let me ask you this. When we get into our lives and our careers and we're thinking about what we're doing, we're waking up and doing that thing every day. But there's this word retirement that flashes up in front of us like the Hollywood Hills sign. What do you think of when you see that word? What goes to mind?
Wow. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My dad, he's 70 now, and he thought about retiring, like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And then he had a moment where he was like, wait a second. I love my work. I don't even know what I would do with my time without that. And so for me personally, I I see like retirement as getting to this space where I feel like the way I look through my life is I feel like I'm aging like a fine wine. And the old like 20s were quite frankly, not that fun. They were really hard. 30s have been great so far. They're like, on the up and up. I'm like, I think the more in my purpose I am, and by the time I'm in retirement, I'm like, wow, that'll be really great to be able to really say yes to opportunities that really light me up
Yeah.
and really fully feel like I am living in my purpose. And that's like a feeling of fulfillment, of joy that I really love. So I don't really see I don't know. I've also had the gift, I'd say, of kind of like selling all of my things and kind of being able to do a little like whatever I want to do with my time. And it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It kind of was not, it wasn't ever like everything I ever wanted and more after a little while. I'm like, I actually want something to do with my day. I want to pour my energy into something. I love doing that. So I'd say for me that is kind of where I kind of start to see the retirement of that is maybe not, like not all day every day am I working, but just doing exactly what lights me up, whether that is like resting and rejuvenating and going on a trip, or maybe I'm building some huge part of my mission to spread joy in a way that I can't even fathom today.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Wow, that's a fun question.
Yeah, it
Good
is.
question. I love that. Who do I think I am? I'd say pe the further from, like if I'm the center and then like my friends are and family are here and like further people are like, oh my God, I think they see me as like a caricature, like a cartoon character, just like da 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 with like googly eyes that are just like kind of bouncing around. And I'd say my friends definitely get to see more sides of me. I'm definitely also like a pretty chill human. What someone called me like a chill, like playful tiger one time because I also have a big part of me that I'm deeply extroverted and I'm deeply introverted.
Sure.
I really need my Amy time, big time. That's a part of what makes me able to be able to show up like this is pouring into myself in those moments. But yeah, I'd say I really feel like a full spectrum human.
Yeah.
I think there's like an octave of the keyboard that shows up with my business and when I'm in this like joy spreading pace because it's what lights me up like so much so. And I also feel really big feelings. I'm like I'm a softie.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I got all the big feels. And also, and just like I love sleeping, I love chilling, I love pouring into my cup, and I've really been in a season of just like romanticizing my life and being like, wow, like I can actually just slow down too, and that's also another flavor of being joyful. It doesn't have to be all like ha 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 all
Yeah.
the time.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see one event in human history, or go into the future and see what would happen, say, 20 years from now, where would you want to go?
Okay, not the future. I'm like a little like scared of
Uh,
I don't know. What
yeah,
if
get it.
what if I see that and I don't know how to integrate
Uh-huh.
that and then I just like know something's coming and then I'm like, okay, now I have to like
That's
live with
so
that. Like,
true. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm not a go into the future kind of person. Um, I've always I've always wanted to see the Colosseum when they would fill it with water and put
Yeah.
the boats in it. I don't know why, but I went to Rome like, I don't know, 10 or so years ago, and I remember like seeing that and being like, this is hard to really
I
fathom. Like,
know.
how did they do that? Like, what even? There's something about that.
I was there in 2000 and a cell phone went off and I was like, wait. It was this clashing of antiquity and modern
Yeah,
technology. And it was the weirdest thing in the world. But I had a hard time looking at that whole like area thinking about what happened there. Like I could
right?
not, you know what I'm saying? It just looked like this
Same.
ruin that fell out of a spaceship and just landed,
Yes.
you know?
I so feel that. It's so fascinating. I was like really like, this feels like just like a weird like sculpture somebody
Yeah,
built, but like they built it just like this with all the ruins. Like I can't really fathom
I
like
know.
thousands of people sitting in these stadiums and all of the different events that happened and it was wild.
It was a trip, total trip. So if
Such a trip.
yeah, yes. So if anybody wants to reach out, they want to get involved, they want to be a part of this joy parade and everything that you're doing, where is the best place to go?
All right, first spot is livejoyfullyu.com is my website. You can find all of my things, my socials, my book, all of the information about my joy parades on there. Um, I do have a book. It's called 101 Ways to Spread Joy. You can get the first 10 pages for free on my website and just
Okay.
kind of get a nice little sneak peek. It's got lots of rainbow. I made it very easy to read and kind of like segmented it very much to really make it digestible for the modern day reader that doesn't have a lot of time and is probably like reading a lot like in like 5 minutes before bed or like on the toilet. And
Yeah.
it's really meant to just be an inspiration, like a jumping off point to inspire you to say, oh, wow, I can take this into my own hands. And I wrote this book out of like a really dark period I had about 2 years ago where I was like, wow, what am I doing? What is any of this? And I had a 30-day challenge where I basically just spread joy to random strangers. And it really helped lift me out of the immense funk, to say the least, that I was
Yes.
stuck in. And so I wanted to share that with the world. I'm like, if I
Yes.
can help one other person, then I've done my job.
Absolutely.
And also social media, because I know people are on there. So at the
Sure.
Amy Dickens
Okay.
on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the places, LinkedIn, all the things. You can stay connected with me. And if you're in Asheville, North Carolina, um, join our Joy Parade.
Okay.
It's a great goofy time, and we're hoping to start touring around the country in different events and places this year. So you can stay in our newsletter and kind of stay tuned in for that. We got a lot of things in the works here.
I love it. I will put all these links in the show notes. Amy, what a ray of light.
Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your exuberance.
Thanks so
Best
much.
of luck. Have a wonderful 2026.
Same to you, Joe. It's been such a freaking delight to be
Yes,
here.
it's been awesome.